This is Matt from the Dice of the Round Table, and this is going to be a quick little review of Pandemic the Cure versus Pandemic the Board Game. And with me is
Jesse, his wife.
Please don't forget to, if you have any comments, put them down below, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. So, this was your idea, so what do you want to talk about?
So I actually wanted to talk about The Cure because it's my favorite game, or one of them. It's quick-ish, under an hour, and it's fun, and you get to roll tons of dice, and you still get the pandemic feel without having to pull all that stuff out.
I definitely like The Cure as a two-player game. It is off the chart. 3, 4, I could be either way. I think
But
Pandemic...
we usually play as 4.
Well, when it's just me and her, this is where we go.
Yes.
We go with the dice version. We do not do the board game as two-player. We really can't stand it as two-player, even if we each have 2 people.
That is true.
But the dice version, we have played a lot. The board game version, we tend to only play when there is 3 to 4 people with us. Typically 4.
4 is better.
So, overall, The Cure definitely setup. Let's talk about setup.
Okay.
The Cure.
So The Cure, you put out the ring that they give you for infections and
Keep going. Keep going.
Outbreaks, and you put the little blue circles around the ring, and that's your basic setup. It takes less than 5 minutes. And the dice are your diseases. So you roll those to infect, and then you can start playing.
Small deck of cards with your rolls and keeping track of what you've cured. And then we've bagged up, for convenience, the character pawns with dice. How about setup for Pandemic, the board game?
Takes a little longer, and it's more intense.
What do you mean by intense? Define intense.
Intense. So in addition to the board, you have to start drawing the infection cards, and that is how you infect everything. And you have to, there's
two decks.
2 decks.
Plus setting the infection deck. Because again, you gotta deal out cards, then you gotta, the player deck, because you gotta set up how many epidemics are in there.
Pandemic, the board game, you have to start in Atlanta.
That is true.
In The Cure, you can start wherever you want.
Because each region of the world is its own area. So
Yes.
When you're talking about how quickly can you set these up, The Cure will be faster. How about an average turn? How would you rate the average turn?
The average turn.
Yes. So in The Cure, the average turn is you get your dice, roll them, determine what you're going to re-roll, and then play your moves based on the dice you have. Because you can fly, you can boat next door, cure stuff, and sample stuff or special powers.
So to me, The Cure has more options because you can sample, you can re-roll if you don't like what you have. When you're talking about the board game, you're either moving or curing.
And limited by the cards you have. So Pandemic Cure has a little bit more freedom in your choices of travel.
Yes.
Where Pandemic the board game, you're going to be restricted by the routes connecting the cities. Or the cards you have to play. So which one's a more engaging turn?
I would say The Cure is a more engaging turn.
I would agree. And also, coming down to, if you've been watching any of our videos, randomness is one of the things I like. Dealing with randomness. Because in Pandemic the Cure game, if you enjoy scripting your turns, I have played games where we set at the table and depending on what is infected, really to get the goal accomplished, X person has to do this, Y person has to do this, Z person has to do this, and I got to do this. Because if we can't do that, we've just lost the game, especially when we're getting to the end.
Yeah. and they're close
most of the time.
most of the time.
Where, at least with the cure, because you're also rolling the dice for an infection, so that randomizes which territories, and you get the randomness of what colors you pull.
And you get the randomness of this money.
Yeah, you can always get money for your,
Special cards.
yes. Because in the cure, you have to buy your special cards, where in Pandemic, you only get a certain number of them, and once they're used, they're used. If you roll lots of money in Pandemic with the cure, well, you get to go through the cards a lot faster. How about Endgame?
Endgame, the cure's more satisfying.
Why?
Like, you actually feel like you did something. You moved your pieces around and you collected things and you cured things. And the cure is all, you cure by rolling your dice. So just saying, I've got my 5 cards isn't enough. I have to roll that number. So it leads to that randomness a little bit. So after you actually win the cure, there's just more of a sense of accomplishment that, hey, we actually did it. That's my thought.
I agree, because again, in the average turn, you're going to roll for your actions, re-roll if you want. You're going to roll for finding a cure to the disease if you want, and then you're going to have to roll dice for infecting the board. So on your turn, you're rolling your dice about 4 times, which, if you love dice, that's a lot of fun, because you're usually rolling anywhere from 4 to 6 dice.
Yes.
On average.
Average.
So it's really nice. So, final thoughts on the cure?
On the cure, it's an amazing, quick little game. I love it. Well, it's not super quick, but it's definitely quicker than an hour and a half. So.
Well, and the average game for us is about 45 minutes.
Yep. So I love the cure. I love rolling dice. I love just, having the freedom to move around the board easier, and just, I love it.
Final thoughts on Pandemic?
It's okay. 4 players is a sweet spot for us. It's still fun, but I'd rather play the cure.
So Cure, hands down, is it is what it promises on the very front cover. It says fast acting. The game is fast acting, very satisfying.
Yep.
Pandemic, great. No problem playing with 4 players. It's still on our shelf. It's still in our collection because there's times. Now, if you gave us choice of the Cure, Legacy, or Pandemic, we will always pick Legacy.
Yeah.
Always play another game of Legacy. That was awesome with the storytelling. We have yet to do Season 2. Looking forward to doing that with someone who can commit to the length of games.
Yeah, the time commitment's a thing.
So, otherwise, definitely re-encourage you to look into Pandemic the Cure if you don't own it. Thanks for watching.